Why do I create stupid thumbnails when I'm a serious YouTube educator? This is a question that I get asked a lot, and the simple answer is because it works. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret that I really wish it wasn't true. I actually don't really enjoy the fact that I have to pull stupid faces in order to get noticed on the YouTube platform. Because when you look at it, it does not make sense. Why would me pulling stupid faces in a thumbnail help me to reach more people who are wanting to seriously learn different strategies that I'm teaching on YouTube? Right now, I want to break down some really quick facts as to why I continue to pull stupid faces in my thumbnails and why you will keep seeing them. And all of these reasons work off the fact that it does work and it does help to boost my channel. For my first YouTube channel, which is all about teaching people how to master the art of Google Ads, the average channel, and I'm talking about channels that only teach on Google Ads. There are some larger channels which have videos about Google Ads, but they also teach about everything to do with digital marketing. So they're very broad channels. What I'm talking about here is comparing my channel versus other Google Ads only channels. And in that niche, you have channels that range anywhere from 2,000 subscribers to 30,000 subscribers. With, if you were to average it out, they'd be sitting in and around about 20,000. It's taken many of those creators 5 or 6 years and sometimes even longer to build up those audiences. I launched my first video on YouTube for Google Ads teaching 2 years ago, and at the time of recording right now, my channel is just under 70,000 subscribers, sitting at about 69,100 subscribers. So in 2 years, I've doubled my subscriber count versus other similar channels. Now, I do want to make it clear that having silly faces in my thumbnails is not the only reason for why my channel has grown so fast compared to other Google Ads only channels. There are some other factors in play here, but a big driver is definitely thumbnails. Because what I found here, and you may find this in a lot of educational niches across YouTube, is that quite often the YouTube channels will use very, very plain thumbnails. And what I mean by that is that they'll use the same background with the same image of them, and then they'll have very text heavy thumbnails. And when I was starting my YouTube journey, this is something that I noticed very, very quickly, that when I searched for different Google Ads topics, all the thumbnails were pretty much a copy of each other. And there was no one really standing out and really putting any effort at all into their thumbnails. And I've also noticed this in this new niche, which I'm getting into now, is that it's pretty much the same. A lot of creators just don't spend any time on their thumbnails. So if this is true for your educational niche that you're teaching in and you're wanting to build an online community or courses or coaching around, this presents an amazing opportunity, because by putting some effort and making yourself be prepared to look maybe a little bit silly, it does provide an awesome opportunity for you to grow your channel a lot faster than your competitors. Now, what this will do is that this will help your video stand out against your other competitor videos. Now, I do want to make it clear, as I said, you need to focus on more than just your thumbnails, but for this video, I just want to really teach you on how you can use thumbnails to get ahead of your competitors. Now, we do know that when it comes to YouTube, they don't only look at your click-through ratio, they also look at retention rates and also your total duration rate of an individual video. So you need to make sure that you're not only getting a high click-through ratio, but you're also getting a long average duration, ideally 50% or more, but at a bare minimum, if you're getting at least 35%, and then you want to have a longer watch time. Once again, with the longer the better, but as a benchmark, I find with my videos, as long as you're getting an average watch time of 4 minutes or more, you are going to be having a good performing video. And the reason for why these 3 metrics are so important, and what you need to remember, is that 70% of all views on YouTube come from recommendations, whether that be recommendations from the home screen or the automatic videos that YouTube will load after you've watched an initial video. And this is all looking to achieve YouTube's main objective, which is they want users to stay on the platform for as long as possible. And the reason for why this is important to them is because the longer that users spend on the platform, the more ads they can show, so the more money they can get. And this is how you get success with YouTube, is that you need to understand what YouTube is looking to achieve, because massive growth in your channel comes from YouTube recommending your videos. So you kind of have to go along and play with their game so that you're creating content which is appealing for YouTube to recommend. And I want to put it simply like this, is that if you're teaching on an individual subject and you and a collection of other channels have videos around the same subjects, and all of your metrics were the same in terms of average duration and also average watch time, but if your video had a click-through ratio of 10%, whereas all of the other channels had a click-through ratio of 3%, which video do you think YouTube would recommend more often than not? and it would be your video because you have a higher click-through ratio. And that is the reason for why I make myself look silly in my thumbnails, is because it increases my click-through ratio, which is an important factor that YouTube takes into account when it looks at what videos it should recommend. And if you don't believe me, let's jump into a screen share so I can show you exactly what I mean. What I'm showing you in here is that this is my YouTube Studio data from my other channel, which is about Google Ads. And we're looking at a date range of 2023. And what you can see here, my top 2 videos, which have got far and away the most views of any other videos. And last year alone, they both got over 100,000 views. They're both now well above 200,000 views. But you can see with both of these, for the total year, they had a click-through ratio of 7.8 and 5.8. And that was after they were getting millions of impressions. And when you look here at my top performing content, you can see that it all has one thing in common, is that it has higher click-through ratios. So right now, let's get into the basics of what you need to include in your thumbnail in order to increase your click-through ratio. And if you miss any of these steps, don't worry, because if you follow that link in the description below, you can get access to my thumbnail cheat sheet for YouTube educators. And this is specifically designed for people who use YouTube in order to teach about their subject. So this isn't really a guide for influencers, although some of it would relate, but this is very much focused on people who are YouTube educators. So your YouTube channel is all about teaching people a certain set of skills. And if you want to get that cheat sheet, all you need to do is to follow that link in the description below. And there's just 3 things that you need to remember when you're creating a thumbnail. Number 1, your thumbnail needs to show emotion. And this is where all those stupid faces come into it. Whether it's happy, sad, angry, frustrated, surprised, whatever the emotion is, I found that in my thumbnails, my best thumbnails in terms of click-through ratio always build emotion. And the reason why this works is you've got to remember is that people don't just see your thumbnail. They see a collection of thumbnails. And they're scanning all of those thumbnails that they're seeing in under 1 or 2 seconds. So by showing emotion, it helps to draw attention to your individual thumbnail. Number 2, and this is an important one, that wherever possible, your thumbnail should have no more than 3 words on it. Now, if you go through my channel, you do see that there are times that I break this rule, but where possible, I try to bring it down into 3 words. And the reason for that is because, remember what I said just before, is that they're not just seeing your thumbnail. They're seeing a whole collection of thumbnails, and people won't have time to read really text-heavy thumbnails. So what you want to be doing here, and the trick is that you want to be able to generate intrigue. A lot of YouTube educators make the mistake of just basically repeating their title in their thumbnails, and that's a big mistake. And then the last rule is that you want it to create contrast. Now that contrast can be achieved in quite a different ways. It could be the contrast of the emotion in your face versus the subject that you're teaching about. It could be the contrast between colors. What I mean by that, if that you've got a dark background, you might have your text in a really light background. Could be the contrast between the background and the foreground. So for example, if you're on a dark background, you may want to be having a profile photo with you wearing a light t-shirt or vice versa. With the trick there, once again, it's all about creating that contrast so that your thumbnail stands out against the other thumbnails that the user is seeing. Right now, let me walk you through my 2 best performing thumbnails, and these were from those videos before that had those really high click-through ratios even after millions of views. And this one right here, which you can see pop up, and you can see right here that I only had 2 words, stop this. That created the intrigue. They could see the Google Ads logo there. It really created that strong message of what did they need to stop. Also, you can see with my photo, there was concern in my face. And then also the position of my hand, it was really looking to grab their attention. Once again, getting them to stop scrolling and to click on my thumbnail. And then the second one, which you can see over here, I went with a really controversial statement, don't believe them. And what I was doing in this video is I was just pulling apart a belief, something that I didn't like in my individual niche. But what I was doing, I was really wanting my viewers to go, hang on, what do I not want to believe them about? And what was the mistake that they were making? And then obviously with my photo, it was all about conveying disgust or disbelief. I just can't believe they're sharing this. And then also you'll notice that I had a really good contrast between a dark background and a really light photo of me. So thank you for joining me. And remember, if you want to get my YouTube Educator thumbnail cheat sheet, just follow that link in the description below. My name is Aaron Young from 7-Figure Coaching, and as always, it's an absolute pleasure having you here. And right now, if you want to learn about the different streams of income that I've generated in order to build my 7-figure business, I want you to go through and watch this video right here. See you next time.